if it would make it all the way to 190, but they have. Probably not as far as 12, but you know, anything is possible within some of these storms. They usually only end up doing some damage kind of focused right near the shoreline, but that could change. So we will see a new tornado warning issued for that. It has not yet come out, but they're about to pull the trigger. So with that being said, and we do have the eventually the new tornado warning for the North Shore, still want to focus in on the tornado warning that is for St. Charles. The threat in Lafourche is done, but now for continuing St. Charles and toward Jefferson Parish, again, what looks to be the center of this tornado in St. Charles Parish at the moment is already well beyond Carmidel, so it's more over the marshes right now. So we still have a little bit of time to prepare for that one as far as the folks on the West Bank in Jefferson Parish. So you still have some time. And kind of watching the trajectory of this, it does look like it has been maybe favoring a little bit more of the eastern portion of this warned area. So I do think if that trend continues, Destrehan and most of West Jefferson, and I mean even on the East Bank, so Kenner and part of West Metairie, may be in the clear, because it does look like the path may be favoring more of the eastern portion of our warned area for St. Charles, but more so once it crosses into Jefferson Parish, West Bank, and then continues along onto the East Bank. Here's the warned area. It looks like that waterspout is just about ready to cross onto the shore and into the Lacombe area. So zooming in as much as we possibly can to see any areas that may start to appear. Big Branch that is highlighted. Again, this is going to be right along the shoreline, so it's in more of the Big Branch National Wildlife Refuge before it continues heading in the direction of 190. I know a lot of folks that live along there, a lot of businesses, restaurants, some great restaurants right along 190. It would be then moving in that direction. Or is moving in that direction, I should say. So one of the roads that appears is Autumn Woods Drive in Lacombe. So for folks in the Lacombe area familiar with these neighborhoods, with these areas, that is the area that may be a little bit more under the gun for the path of this water spout that looks like it is just about ready. Here is the water spout. It is just about ready to cross the shoreline and continue toward, again, Autumn Woods Drive in Lacombe. So it would be in this vicinity that the water spout would then, once it is on the ground, potentially do some damage. This is one of the best signatures that we've seen so far within all of these storms as we've continued through the last couple of hours or so in southeast Louisiana. So for the Lacombe area, this is where you would then need to be in your tornado safe space as the water spout looks as though it is moving and about to move on land. You need to be in that tornado safe space immediately. Now, this tornado is moving, again, or water spout, I should say, could potentially then become a tornado, is moving at about 45 miles an hour. So if this were to hold together, projecting this out at 45 miles an hour, we'll kind of pinpoint it right in through there, highlight this forecast. Again, not affecting too many communities in this part of St. Tammany Parish. Really, once it gets past Lacombe, Big Branch, and then an area it's just highlighted as St. Tammany and Florinville, if it were to continue along that path, if it were to last that long. Again, as I said, usually the water spouts don't last very long once they make it onto land. The damage is usually isolated to right around and just inland from where the water spout moved. But again, we have had some reports actually over the last couple of severe weather events. We've had water spouts moving in kind of right around this same area, and there are a few homes and small businesses, restaurants that are right around there, right near the lakefront. So something that needs to be taken very seriously. Again, for the residents in Lacombe, you need to be in that tornado safe space right now as the water spout is getting ready to move, if it has not already after on land. So looking at the last 15 minutes or so of this water spout, you really can see that colorization kind of jumping out at you after it crossed over the causeway. And then we'll continue on shore. This was a few minutes ago, so then continuing this out now on shore, and actually it does look like it's still kind of holding together, and it should be right at about Highway 190, excuse me, now. So this is where the potential waterspout that may have kind of transitioned into a tornado is at the moment. So right along 190 in Lacombe. So this is an area that you need to be seeking shelter now. If you have not already done so, you should already be in that tornado safe space. I'm going to kind of zoom in here to see if any little streets within some of the neighborhoods start to show up. You got the Autumn Woods again. It looks like some of the neighborhoods maybe a little bit more, kind of moving my computer here a little bit, looks a little bit more to the east of where the water spout is continuing over Highway 190. And I know when you see these just on their own, it's like, what are you pointing at? What are you showing me? That's why I kind of like to go back in time and show you where it was as a better developed water spout. You really see those colors just screaming at you that there is a water spout. And so you kind of follow the trajectory there of where it went once it crossed on land. Now, I will say it's not showing up nearly as well as it was over the water. As a matter of fact, this could be moving in such a trajectory that it takes it, I'm going to move my map here, that it does take it in such a trajectory that could place it maybe just to the west. This is the National Weather Service office in Slidell at the airport north of 12. So the radar site is at the Weather Service office, and it could be moving very much in that direction. Now, it doesn't appear as though it's showing up nearly as well defined as it had been when it was still over the water. Without the friction of land over the water, very easy for these type of storms to spin up a water spout. It's once they move on land to see if they then try and develop into more of a tornado. Doesn't appear as though that is the case, but still, right along Highway 190 in Lacombe, you need to be in that tornado safe space right now. Another couple of minutes, and this threat will already be past you and then approaching 12. And then for the folks in 12, say right to the west and just along LA 434. So in this part of Lacombe, kind of where 434 branches off from 190, that is where you need to be in that tornado safe space. Bringing us back down south to show the continuation of the tornado warning for St. Charles and Jefferson Parish. Lafourche has been removed from that warning, and we do have a continuation of the warning for St. Charles, again, still on the West Bank, not a very populated area at all of St. Charles Parish where the tornado is, but then it will be moving onto the West Bank of Jefferson, and then possibly continuing on toward, say, parts of Old Jefferson and Metairie. So let's kind of do the same thing. We've been analyzing these storms to kind of show you where the rotation was and where it may still be. I'll tell you what, still looks like it's favoring more the extreme eastern part of the warned area, which if it were to continue along that track, it may be more Old Jefferson and the river bend of Orleans Parish. Now, as I said, Orleans not officially in the warned area because the warned line kind of follows right along the parish line, but these storms, that's meaningless. It may easily cross from Old Jefferson into the Riverbend area if it were to take more of that trajectory, continuing up toward the northeast, almost northeast type of trajectory. So as far as where it is now, looks like it is still out over more of the marshier areas, but would continue up toward, say, between Wagaman and Marrero. Tell you what, every time we get a new scan in here, it still looks like it's favoring more the eastern, very much the eastern portion of the warned area. And as a matter of fact, it looks like it may be almost moving out. Okay, it almost looks like it's moving out of the polygon area. Again, as this is over more of the marshier areas, we can kind of go to other sources that we have. We have a camera that is at, what, I-10 and Causeway? Okay, so I mean, what we're showing you here is just the intense rains that are accompanying this cold front. Again, not going to last very long. You can say, okay, couple of things, folks. Do not do this. Do not use your hazard lights when you are driving. Do not do that. That is I don't know if it's against the law, but you do not do that when you are driving. That is indicating that you are an emergency and you are stopped. That makes it very difficult for cars to judge when you're hitting your brake lights or judging distances. Do not use your emergency lights when you are driving. The tail lights and your headlights, all you need in these heavy downpours. You don't use the emergency lights. As a matter of fact, there are usually signs from state police telling you not to do that. Don't do it. Within these heavy rain events, I know sometimes folks are, just kind of programmed to do that. Don't. It doesn't help it. As a matter of fact, it makes it worse for surrounding drivers. So don't do that. But obviously, it is a very heavy rain now moving over the metro area. As I've also said, the main threat for anything severe is along and just ahead of the line. Once the line is passed, folks in Destrehan, you're done. It is over for you. You are you are in the clear. And as a matter of fact, areas that are still within the warned area of the tornado warning, Kenner, it's done. This tornado is not going to backtrack into the front. It can only move east or northeast along and ahead of the boundary. So Kenner, you are in the clear. Almost into River Ridge, you are in the clear. Our river parishes, you're in the clear now. The line is to your east. The severe threat is done. The severe threat will continue for Jefferson, and I would likely say it's going to be shifted into Orleans, that tornado warning, only just based on the velocities kind of following along more the eastern portion of the warned area. It looks like it's going to stay almost outside of the warning and enter into more the old Jefferson and then Orleans Parish, maybe around the river bend within the next several minutes or so. It is still to the south and east of Estelle, so not quite into a populated area at the moment, but that will shortly change. As I've also said, the warned area, let's see, the warned area, okay, we had not confirmed, but a preliminary spotter information into the Weather Service office that the spotter located, the spotter is located near Lacombe, and that he saw a very low-hanging wall cloud and very rapid rotation. So was not able to confirm or identify a tornado, but was able to see the lower clouds and rapid rotation. Whether or not that was in fact a tornado or perhaps it was the weakening waterspout once it crossed the North Shore, it's yet to be determined. And again, none of this will be confirmed until the Weather Service decides whether or not to go and do surveys tomorrow. That'll be assessed based on any damage that may be reported after the fact. So none of that will be confirmed until at the earliest tomorrow if the Weather Service decides to go out and do any kind of an assessment. I would venture to say, just looking at the velocities of what was clearly a waterspout and watching this move on land, crossing 190 and almost to 12 now, it would be about here. It would be almost due west of the Weather Service radar. There is nothing that is showing up. So for one, it looks like this area has already, this possible rotation has already moved outside or almost right along the periphery of the warned area. I would say the threat is pretty much gone from that storm. As far as the storm on the west bank of St. Charles moving in, well, really more, it's now in Jefferson Parish. That is still to the, let's see. I'm going to kind of jump over here, go back. Looks like it's here. It looks like it's almost entirely out of the warning area. So maybe just to the north of Estelle on the west bank. And again, if this were to continue, I would say this all has to be removed and a new warning issued that would include Orleans Parish. So New Orleans proper, I would think we will see a new tornado warning for shortly. I'm kind of waiting for the official word from the National Weather Service office. But as I switch back over to the reflectivity, most of the area still within the tornado warning is already out of the heavy rain threat and out of the threat of any additional severe weather. Okay, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that is for St. Tammany and Hancock, as well as Pearl River County. That same storm, so it looks like maybe we're allowing the tornado warning to be canceled for St. Tammany within that rotating storm, and we get all kinds of information here. So sometimes the backlog of data that is coming into the National Weather Service chat group starts to get a little bit a little bit more confusing to look through all of the data, especially when other folks start chiming in. Yeah, so it looks like as far as the threat goes on the North Shore, that is now more for a likely the strong winds and a severe thunderstorm warning. I would venture to say we will see this expired or canceled with regards to a tornado that was moving inland over the Lacombe area. And as far as the warned area in Jefferson, that is going to have to be completely reevaluated because I said, if you're just ahead of and along this line, that's where the threat for severe weather. Most of the region that is still within this tornado warning, the threat is already gone. So here's River Ridge, Harahan, it's already gone. Most of Metairie, West Metairie into Kenner, it's already gone. This is now more of the threat kind of from Estelle, north of Estelle, that may include more Orleans Parish. So I'm waiting for the National Weather Service office to kind of give the change in there. And I know they're busy. Like I said, we just had a meeting with them, and those folks are very busy, and they are paying very close attention to everything that is going on with these storms. Okay, we're also getting, we have a camera view, I-10 at Bonneville. Obviously no tornadic storms there, but just again, just to show you how heavy the rainfall is in these areas. You know, folks on the roads kind of zipping along as if everything's just fine. Just, you know, go a little bit slower, give yourself a little bit of extra time. There's nowhere you need to be in a rush at 11 o'clock at night, so just give yourself a little bit extra time. Roads are going to be slick through the night. Hopefully we'll see most of the roads dry by tomorrow morning, but even beyond this line, we will likely still see some additional rains even once the threat, the severe threat is through, just kind of showing you once that line is gone, we still have some light rain, maybe some pockets of moderate rain that will likely continue to overrun the cooler air that is moving in for tomorrow morning. And I do keep about a 40% chance for some more scattered showers through the overnight and into early tomorrow morning. So may wake up with a little bit of morning rain and cooler temperatures, but again, the severe threat is gone. And as far as where is the severe threat gone, let's go parish by parish. Tangipahoa, you are done. Washington Parish, done. Much of central and western St. Tammany, done, with the exception of eastern St. Tammany, so Bush, Sun, down towards Slidell, Pearl River, still ongoing. Pearl River County, it's not quite into, that's interesting. The Weather Service is continuing the tornado warning. Let's see, and they are continuing the tornado warning for the North Shore. I didn't see, that is until 11:30. I was not seeing the rotation there, but the Weather Service is going to go ahead and continue that. They're also issuing a new tornado warning for the South Shore. They're saying there are actually several areas of rotation that could all produce brief little spin-ups. So they're still seeing little brief spin-ups that are possible. So here is the area greatly reduced on the North Shore, the continued warned area for St. Tammany Parish, kind of zooming in a little bit more to see what communities are being affected by it. You know, not too many. This is right along LA 434, moving up toward 36. So not too many folks being impacted by this cell. The ones on the South Shore are, as we are watching now, kind of a shift in the heavy rainfall now moving over the metro area. And I have not been by myself all night. Devin Bartolotta and Sharice Gibson are also here with some information they can pass along.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. We've been keeping our eye on the comments, looking at some of your posts. If you're seeing any of that weather video, you can always send us to us on social media, or of course you can text 504-529-4444. We're just hearing the rain that's coming over our studio. One of the things that we have noticed since you've been on air, Chris, and you've talked about those high winds, so that's causing a lot of power outages right now. I don't know if we want to pull up that Entergy map, but right now, and I'm going to ask my producers, this is the most updated numbers that we have here on the energy outages, but in St. John Parish, they're saying that more than 1,700 outages are there. Devin, what are you finding here?
I'm seeing on here St. John. I've got it updated here. St. John Parish, 778 outages. It looks like in West Baton Rouge Parish, almost 1,500. So quite a few there.
Yeah.
Jefferson Parish, 284, and Looks like Calcasieu, we've got almost 3,500. Of course, not in our viewing area, but definitely a lot of outages. Here's a look at the map here. It doesn't look like too many in our area. Looking at the river parishes, St. James, 407, St. John, about 780. St. Tammany, only 3, but of course that's Clico. I'm looking at the Entergy map. Tangipahoa Parish, 795. Terrebonne, 482. So there are some outages in the area, but certainly looking worse in other parts of the state.
Right now, we see that a lot of people are just leaving comments. We're still streaming live for you on Facebook for those people who are in the parishes that are being impacted. Some people, for the most part, saying that you're seeing a lot of wind damage, probably some tree limbs that are down. So far, that is most of what we're seeing, and the power outages. But again, as Chris mentioned earlier, we showed you that live map that was outside of the interstate. Just slow down on the interstate right now. We can hear all of the rain that's over our studio, so of course we'll get another update, of course, as we get another warning. And we just heard one of the emergency sirens, Chris. What's going on now?
Yeah, well, that was with the anticipated shift in the warning to then include Orleans Parish. That is the WEA, it's WEA, it's the wireless emergency alert system. That's what uses your cell phone, your location to then trigger when a warning is issued for you. And as we are all in Orleans Parish, all of our phones just went off at the exact same time. So the shift in the tornado warning, as I said, it's kind of interesting to see that the Weather Service just issued kind of a huge warned area to include all of the West Bank of Jefferson Parish, or most of the West Bank of Jefferson Parish, continuing into Orleans Parish, almost the entirety of Orleans Parish. So we just heard a lot of phones go off, but then it also includes much of St. Bernard Parish, basically saying within this line, as it continues, there have been several little areas of spin-up, several little rotations, not any one in particular that the Weather Service office has been able to kind of pinpoint, but what they've said is with several areas that could all be a maybe brief spin-up tornado, they've just decided to issue an entire kind of almost parish-wide tornado warning, which is why the warned area is so very large. Obviously, this one has not yet expired, but is no longer a threat for JP because the threat has moved to the east. Really, as these storms kind of make a projection toward the north and east, sometimes the line itself is getting there before the storm actually does in its forecast. And so the Weather Service kind of has to readjust all the warned areas. And as I said, sometimes their computers at a certain point won't allow a warning to be canceled if we're within 10 minutes of the warning actually officially being expired. So sometimes the computers prevent that from happening, which is why you still see some warnings in place when clearly the threat is gone from them. So let's look at the warned area for really the huge portion of our population to see if there are any areas. And, you know, you look at the coloration here, there are several little spots that kind of jump out somewhat that could have a little bit of rotation. There's kind of one here to the northeast of Jean Lafitte. There may be a few other areas. Let's go to our shear indicators, the rotation indicator, to see if anything's kind of, basically it is showing almost the entirety of this line has some semblance of rotation. So basically what you're seeing is the entire leading edge of this line has some potential of rotation. There really isn't any one particular spot along the line that is jumping out more so than any others. It's just that the entirety of the line has the chance. And so really to try and figure out exactly where a quick spin-up tornado will be could be almost impossible unless the velocities start to change here. With the exception of that happening, it's certainly right along that leading edge. You're going to have some very strong winds as this continues. Okay, the warning for St. Charles and Jefferson has expired. I'm going to read you the details of the warning for. Try and move my computer here a little bit more so you can see more of me.